playing now? Was there someone that made a call and said, I want you, or someone that said you're due for an audition, or I've written this especially for you, or would you be interested in it, or I think we'd like to know. So let's start with you, Matt. Just go around the horn.
God bless you, Jim. I came over from Australia with a pilot for 20th, and when that looked like it wasn't going to series, A&E, the Sugarloaf was around, and A&E saw that pilot, and I went in to talk, and went in and talked with Cliff and Gary, and we all were on the same page pretty much, so I walked out of that meeting with them going, yeah, you want to do this thing?
Okay. Yeah. Angie, you've done a lot of series, a lot of work, and this particular one, Rizzoli and Isles. How did that come about? Was it one phone call? Was it a series of things? How did it happen?
It was a phone call and a series of things, and I read it, and I didn't want to like it, and I did, and I threw it across the room, and then I read it again, and I loved it even more, and it was an offer, and I took it, and I'm so thankful for it.
Great show. And Matt, with White Collar, how did you get into that?
Went in for a read, and went up and up and up, and ended up having to test twice for it, and that was that. They put me through that horrific, terrifying experience twice, but it was so worth it, and I'm so grateful.
Kelly, what about with Lie to Me?
It was a long pilot season. I think it was the 6th thing I tested for. Had I been given all 6 of them at once, I think I would have picked Lie to Me, which is pretty cool. I had to work my ass off for it, though. I went in, I think, 5 times. It went from, like, meet, read. I mean, it just was a lot. And then I had to wait a month until they found their guy, and then they found Tim Roth, and then I thought, oh, shit. I don't want to mess this up, because then I wanted to go in, and then all of a sudden I had his resume going through my head, and I thought, oh, I'm not going to be any good now. And so I had to go in and just sort of fight that devil, and I got the job.
Good.
It's all right.
And Boris?
I didn't want to go in. I was shooting a movie in Toronto, and everybody was tracking this new J.J. Abrams project, and they were looking for this guy for months, and my agency kept calling me and said, hey, come down here and audition for it. And I said no, because I didn't want to be the affirmative action guy. I've been through this so many times.
Explain that. What do you mean you didn't want to be the affirmative action?
Well, what it is you keep testing and do camera tests and stuff, and they love you, and the feedback is amazing and great, but they went with somebody else who always happens to be white. So these high-profile projects become very elusive, and after a while of doing it for 10 years, you go like, you know what? I just picked the ones where I know that there actually is real interest. So I did that. I said, I'm not going in. I'm not flying down to LA for them to tell me how great I am. And then, they went with Jessica Simpson. Yeah. You could,
It's the hair.
I don't have the hair, and so I didn't go in. And finally, the casting director, bless her heart, April Webster, called me personally and said, look, we know who you are. We know what you can bring, and please. And thanks for reminding me, babe. We know you're black, so please. So I flew down, and I had a work session, and everybody was in the room, in the waiting room, and I said, okay, I got to do something different. So I went in, and she started reading. I did the whole thing in French, and then the producer looked at me like I was insane. And then they called JJ, and that's when, after 2 hours, he came down, and then I did it again, and I did it in German. And he was fascinated by that, and he started just screaming, and then we did a work session, and I had to test 5 billion times. And then he called me, I was with my wife, and he called me and asked me if I was ready to go on this journey with him, and that was it.
That's a great story, and we're glad you did it. Mary?
Me too.
Yeah, I just read In Plain Sight and loved it, and loved the part, and said I wanted to do it to all the people that
they sent it to you and said, we have you in mind, we want you to do
no.
it.
God, no.
No, they never have us in mind.
No, I'm sure they sent it to 1,000 ladies and said they had, no. But I got my hands on it and read it and liked it a lot. And so.
Seriously, there's always a list?
Oh, yeah, there were 4 that said no before me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how many there were. I don't ask questions.
Oh, I
liked it and went in and met. Did it in French. Did it in German. Do that though. That's sort of my signature thing.
No,
that's
you
weird.
don't do it again.
Somebody told me that, yeah.
I mean, no, it's okay.
The same person who did the Red Fox story.
Anyway, that led to crazy
You guys are
journey.
giving me a hard time. Now, Thomas,
Yeah.
this role is just great
I got nothing else.
Criminal Minds. And all joking aside, you're very versatile, and we all love you in this. But how, in this particular role, again, I'll repeat the question. I mean, was it a phone call? Did somebody send you a script and said, you're the guy we want? Or was it a list of guys?
Same old story. Cruz turns it down. Then they go through like 4,000 other guys. And then they go through another few guys. And then I have to go read.
Thanks for taking us on that journey. Marg was CSI. You guys went on the air, what, 9 years ago or 8 years ago? Or
11.
11.
Yes.
And this is this, did I hear somebody say, or you said it the other day, this is going to be your last season?
Right.
By choice. You're going to do some other thing. But when the role first came up, again, I mean, you know, did Anthony come to you and say, hey, you're a girl, or a long list of people like Angie was talking about? How did you get the role?
Really?
Well, it was so long ago. I'm trying to recall. No, my agent actually called me, Brian Mann, and said, if you're interested in doing a pilot this pilot season, which would have been pilot spring of 2000, would you? This is the one we should go after. So he sent it over to me, and I read it as soon as it arrived, and called him back and said, yeah, let's make this happen. And so he was able to get the offer from CBS. So, and then I went in to talk to Anthony, met with Anthony and the director Danny Cannon and Jerry Bruckheimer. And
I know you guys get asked this
I
all
didn't
the
say
time.
it was a long list. It was 4. That's what I'm saying.
It was you and Jessica Simpson,
Yeah, Tom Cruise
Tom Cruise.
and Marg. Marg was booked.
He's on every list.
Yeah, he's on every list. He's on the short list.